Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Peace and Profits, the podcast. I am Kelly Carrico, and I am your host. And today I have my very special friend, Rochelle, here joining me. And I'm so excited to have her because she is going to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, which is how to run a business as a single mama. And so she is going to talk to us a little bit about her personal experience and some of the hardships that she has gone through, as well as some of the very rewarding moments that she has gone through as a single mom. But before we get into anything too heavy, I want Rochelle to introduce herself to you guys. So, Rochelle, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so thankful for you and, just blessed to be your friend and, just be a part of this. I really appreciate it. Of course, support you 100%.
I love that as soon as I asked you, you were like, yes.
Yes.
No question. That is a good friend right there. So, Rochelle, tell us a little bit about you for those that are listening who don't know you at all. So, tell us like who you are and where you're from and what you do.
Well, my name is Rochelle Marie. I'm actually born and raised in Arizona, so bright and sunny, hot. I'm
Yes,
a mama first. I have a beautiful, kind-hearted daughter. Her name is Grace. We share that.
we do
And
share that. Yes, we share
she
a lot of
will,
things actually.
yeah.
Yeah,
She will be 10 in November. It's like I can't hardly believe that, but
crazy.
it's happening.
Yeah.
And so, it's so funny when you get asked that question, it's like, what do you do? And for the longest time I struggled with that. And
Hmm.
because you have so many avenues that you could really like go down. But I honestly just love to share something that's completely changed my life and help improve the quality of others' lives, like people I meet, be that positive light for others, the
Yeah.
inspiration, the encouragement, that motivation. And so, through my story, it's been able to impact others.
Yeah. And so for those of you who have no idea what she is talking about, Rochelle runs a network marketing business. There in Arizona. And I mean, I think for a minute you lived somewhere else and ran the business there as well, right?
Yeah, I moved to Vegas for a year and
Yeah.
then came back to Arizona, but desert to desert. But
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the beauty of
That
having a
is the
network
beauty.
marketing
Yeah.
business. You can literally pick up tomorrow and be like, hey, I'm gonna, go hang out with you for 2 months.
Yeah. And I wanted to actually talk about that a little bit, the freedom that you have being in charge of your own business, being able to like, working around obviously schedules, but also locations because you did that seamlessly. So before we get too far, tell us a little bit more about your business and how you run that as a single mama.
Well, it wasn't always this way. I did back in, it was before 2018, actually. I did have a 9 to 5. So I did manage both. Like I said, I started this in the end of 2014. And
Okay.
so I did have that part of the time where I was trying to do the 9 to 5 and all the things. My background is aesthetics and makeup. And so I did run.
That makes sense. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I worked for a dermatologist and then like a medical center. And at that point, rolling into 2018, been doing the business for almost 4 years, and I wasn't like satisfied with that desk job anymore. And I knew what the opportunity presented to me. It was just the scary fact of like wanting to jump and do this full time and commit
Yeah.
because being a single parent and like no one else to provide for you, you're the sole provider. But at the same time I was unhappy in a place where I was having to dedicate so much time, missing time with my daughter, having to pay somebody to watch her after school. And at that time I was making more money doing what I was doing every day, but it was just that comfort of that biweekly paycheck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it came down to it. I just had a really not so nice supervisor, and I did her a favor and and left. And then it became like the biggest thing that I could have done for myself and my business. And so there's levels to where you go, but I had no idea starting this because I was clueless with the industry. Like I didn't even know it existed when this came into my life. But I've always been someone that loved to work, loved to help others. It just kind of was in my nature. And when you have a purpose to serve, you're going to win. It's just, you make it not about you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just being able now, like compared to like 2018 to now, just having that time freedom. I mean, it's the littlest things, and not missing any, events with my daughter, or being able to volunteer at the school and go on the field trips and like do all
Yeah.
the things. Like you can't even put money to that.
To be able
So
to say yes.
yes, and that's like the best thing. And I constantly, like, we are, a house full of, with, attitude of gratitude is what we go by. And so I make sure my daughter is well informed of how grateful she should be for have a mom that can be there all the time, every time, and never
Yeah.
have to say no.
Yeah. And I think that for a lot of people, a lot of single parents, we shouldn't just say moms, but a lot of single parents, that is not their story. And their story looks like 2 to 3 jobs. And I don't know if you know this about me, but that was my story.
Mhm.
So when I was a single mom, my story looked very different. And I wish that I would have known about other opportunities. But I also know that when I was a single mom, this network marketing didn't look like it does now.
Yeah.
So when I was a single mom, it was, 2002 to 2007. And so that at that time, network marketing wasn't what it is now.
Mm-mm.
It looked very different and the opportunities were very different. And so for me, being a single mom looked like, how many jobs can I work? And Katie is a product of that. And so as she was raised, she saw me working very hard, which I am very thankful for. But she also saw a lot of other people picking her up, and a lot of hurry up, finish your Capri
Right.
Sun in the car. We got to run. We got to go. That was sort of my motto. And so I have learned to value and appreciate this business,
Hmm.
and what it offers all of us, but especially, the girl who might be living the life that I was living in 2005. So one of the jobs that I had to pick up as a single mom was I sold brakes and advanced auto parts. And so,
Wow.
yeah, right? Wow. I mean, if you've met me now, you might be like, that is so strange, but there are just so many single parents out there looking for a way.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that I just wanted to really chat with you about, how network marketing, which has some very negative stereotypes that we are
Sure.
still battling,
Oh.
has actually been such a wonderful answer for you. So do you have any like specific parts of our business that you really love that works for you as a single mom?
I love the fact that it's a new thing every single day. It's not, I mean, there's always something. I guess in a way, you're just always approaching different types of people, and I love the relationship building part of this, and the unexpected connections that I have obtained. Like even in the
Yeah.
last few days, it just, that's the reward, is really helping that next person to get to where they want to be. But the flexibility, because things happen, and I always say, like, life happens and Thrive helps.
Oh, that's good.
Because like I've had a life happen,
Yeah.
in my time of starting this. And so having to rebuild my life, get out of a abusive marriage, protect my daughter and put her in a safe situation. All of this is going on in the background, but I'm still building my business. I'm still, earning all these things that would have never been available to me, if I stuck myself back in that position, because
Yeah.
it's so hard to see what this can do for you, but at the same time, you're at a position where you're backed in the corner. Like, I had no other way.
Hmm.
This was like that light at the end of the tunnel. When it came into my life, I was like, this is what's going to get me out of the situation that I'm in. And consistency and just sticking to it. A lot of people will want to start something like this, and then they're not at the top in 3 months, and then it's like, oh, this isn't for me. Well, that's not how this rolls. You really
Yeah.
want to know, like, if you truly knew what this type of business could do for your family, you wouldn't stop. And that was that
Yeah.
vision that I just kept. Like, I know this is going to create the lifestyle that I want to live. I just have to trust that this is where it's going to take me. And looking back now, it's like I see, like, why God made me wait through all these things, and why I had to go through all these things, because I appreciate and I respect it so much now. Like, I don't take waking up for granted, and just being able to wake her up and, have that morning time, make her breakfast,
Yeah.
take her to school, like, and not feel rushed and then stressed out before it's even 8 o'clock, rushing to school and going to a job I'm not happy with and fighting traffic. I mean, there's literally, it's like a
Yeah.
train wreck when you start your day that way. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's little things like that it's just wow.
So there's so many things that you just said that I would love to just unpack briefly. So as all of that life was happening to you, how did you keep your business running? So like, let's say that somebody listening is having so much life happen in their life, and either they're in the business and they're thinking about quitting, or there's so much life happening in their life, they're not sure that they could take this on. So how were you able to keep a business running while you were dealing with so many big changes?
I just stayed focused on the goal. I knew if I continued in the way that I was going to, get farther and farther than where I wanted to be. And so, yeah, life is going to happen no matter what. Things can happen today that we have no idea. But if you're looking at what, the fear of what's going to happen or what you're scared of, then that's all you're going to continue to attract. So I just knew that this wasn't put in my life for me to fail. And no matter what, like, I was going to just wake up, open those doors, show up.
Yeah.
No matter if I had 3% of me that wanted to show up, I was still going to show up. And that plays out in the end. If you look at just statistics and people that are in this business, if they're showing up every day, even when life is happening, we know many people that have it worse than us, but they still show up. So I think that's another thing too, is I don't really look at, how I did it. Every day it's a new day, go for it. I'm not looking 2 months, 3 months ahead of time. I just want to make it happen. And like, my daughter was my biggest and is my biggest motivation. Even if you are a mom out there listening and, you have 3 kiddos and you don't know how you're going to get through, like, look at them, look at, like, would you want them to see you fail and give up? And, that's the biggest thing, is all that I've overcame, she's been able to see, like, you literally can put your mind to anything and watch it happen. Cause we do vision boards and dream boards together. I have her put her little stuff up there.
Awesome.
So when she achieves it, she marks it off. And even just little things like hitting, 8,000 steps a day on her little watch. Like, she gets excited
awesome.
for little things like that. But that's how it should be. We shouldn't be stressed out all the time. And this industry can truly give you that freedom, if you truly believe that that's what you deserve. Because the biggest thing I had to overcome was my mindset.
I think that's the biggest thing that everybody has to overcome in any business, whether it's
In
network
any
marketing or any business. It's getting your head straight. And it's also, and you can totally disagree with me on this, but I truly think that's like an everyday thing that we have to pay attention to. It's not something we can tackle and we feel good for 3 weeks and then all of a sudden we're good. Like, we have to work on our mindset all the time. And my daughter, Emma, not my Grace, but my Emma, she has been getting up and going to work out with me. And I think that it is such a beautiful thing that I have noticed since taking on this network marketing business. In order for it to work, we have to share. I mean, that's one of the things that whenever Rochelle is talking about showing up, if you are interested in social selling at all or network marketing, showing up is sharing. And, what I have noticed is that our kids pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I've started to be more open, not just to the public for the purpose of selling something, but to make an impact. And what's so cool about what we do is that we're making an impact on the people closest to us. And so like, to me, I've noticed whether you're a single mom, a married mom, a divorced mom, a widow, whatever, our kids are watching and they are paying attention to us sharing and showing up like daily. And that's so powerful. So tell me, what do you think? I'm just curious about this one. But what do you think are some of the challenges that you face as the sole provider for Grace and for you that perhaps I wouldn't face? So like, what are some of the things that you feel like you have to deal with as a single parent that perhaps I would not?
Well, it's everything being on your shoulders. I mean, from the roof over your head to food in the fridge, like all the things, not to mention, my court battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
fighting for custody, 6 years long. It's not easy. And so coming from being a single parent, you have to do everything is relying on you. And so
Mhm.
that smile on her face, that reassurance, like you can't wear your worry. So for me, that's why I have to have that mindset. That's why I have to have that morning routine, because if I get that mind right and I'm setting the tone for the day, then when she wakes up, she doesn't see like, oh my gosh, rent's coming. Oh my gosh, this is coming. Like, she
Sure.
doesn't see any of that because I let it all be. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing is when you're in a position where you have that support, you don't have to carry all that weight. And no matter how hard things are, because, I've shared some of my personal struggles with you.
Sure.
When you have an unhappy child and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, it's heartbreaking. And so it's tore me apart many, many times. But at the same time, like I know victory is coming. So I continue to focus on that end game because I know that what I'm a part of is going to be the answer, even to that very personal, deep rooted problem that I have. So, and it's played out every single time when I stay consistent, when I keep that mindset, when I keep staying in the zone and I keep showing up for not just for me but for others, because she does watch everything I do. I
Mhm.
have this video I have to share with you all later, but she was asked, what does your mom do? And the answer was just it was just perfect, because she sees me helping other people and talking to them and encouraging. It's just crazy how what they gain from us showing up as parents, so if you
Yeah.
and I was that mom that I had so much mom guilt. I mean, thank God she was 2 when I started this. She doesn't really remember me that way, but I mean, I let the TV raise her. I had no playtime. I didn't,
Mhm.
I wasn't a present mom.
Yeah.
And you have older kids that are watching that. Like, what are they going to repeat?
Yeah.
So, that being active and having like Emma go with you to the gym, like that's so important in our
Yeah.
lifestyle too. She loves to, do those things and make healthy choices. And, we talk about all those things because I want her to be educated that way that I wasn't, when I was younger. So those challenges can be the smallest things that different us, but we have the same opportunity that can make the change for us at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And I think that a couple of things that you've mentioned several times just comes back. I keep thinking about the word like resilience because you have been so resilient, and I remember my single mom days, and I had to be much more resilient. I couldn't be impatient
Hmm.
as far as seeing results, and I couldn't, be impatient with just wanting everything to be fixed. I had
Yeah.
to be very resilient. So you shared that you started this business in 2014 when you were working another job. So, would you say to anybody, is this just a quick fix?
No, it's not. I actually, um, for at first I didn't even know what the opportunity presented. I just loved what I was sharing. And then when I started to surround myself with people that, were doing the opportunity, and I was like, well, what if this could be? Well, at the time I wasn't working at that job. I actually was staying home with Grace when she was 2. And, I was jobless and carless, and I was in that abusive marriage. And so
Mm.
I had no other option. Like I didn't know how to get out. And this became that answer to get out. But then
Wow.
went back to work when she went into kindergarten and stayed for the 2.5 years until I was like, enough is enough. Like, this isn't for me. And then,
Yeah.
but it's not a quick fix at all. Like it can be something that can help you temporary as long as, if you see it that way. We always hear, if you treat it like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby.
Hmm.
And if you want more, then you're going to have to show up. You're going to have to do more. This is a business
Yeah.
and it's not easy. We've
Right.
had, you'll have months of struggle, but then you're going to hit, I mean, literally in a day, you have no idea what could happen. I
What could
had
happen?
last year was life changing for me. I mean, I had no idea that was on my path, but what did I do? I kept being consistent and persistent with these people and like
And
just
you
showing,
weren't afraid of work. Like, let's be
no,
very clear. You were
no.
not afraid of work. And you were also very open about sharing about your faith, and
Hmm.
that you have always had faith that this would work out, and it always has, which I admire very, very much about you. But as of right now, you've been in this business for how long? 8 years?
8 years December.
And so I think that it's also important when we're talking about resilience, like you guys who are listening, Rochelle is somebody to admire as far as the business goes for sure. But this, what we sell, what we share about is health and wellness products. And that also is not a quick fix, which I think
Mhm.
it's just such an important lesson for anybody in any, like, no matter what you're pursuing, is that, the things that are most beautiful in life, it takes time to get there. So
Yeah.
just briefly, would you care to share, what this journey has done for you outside of the business
Hmm.
and maybe what lessons Grace has perhaps seen through that?
I was at a point in when I started this, I had no self-love, no self-worth. I had no confidence. There was no drive or ambition in me. I've always loved to work and do my own thing, but I just was in a really ugly, deep place. And so when I started this, it was that vehicle that led me to live a healthier lifestyle. But the transformation was way more than, the 130 pounds I took off my body. It was
Oh my
the
gosh. I don't think I
the
knew you'd lost that
mind.
much.
Yeah, I
That's crazy.
just I just totaled that the other day because someone had asked me, and I had just kind of like forgot after the 100. I was like, it doesn't really matter because the way I feel now, I wish I could bottle up and like share that with people, especially when they come
Mhm.
to me for the wanting that transformation, like the physical side, but it's way more internal. When you can fill your self-love cup and have that confidence to walk in a room and you're not worried about who's staring at that back roll or if your skirt's too short, like none of those things. Like I just feel so much more confident about who I am and own who I am that I can comfortably walk in my own skin. And as women, we carry a lot
Mhm.
um, of worry about what we look like and if our lashes are done and if our lips are plump enough.
Which
I
your
mean, all
lashes are on point. For
I'm
anybody
popping.
who is watching this on YouTube, like her lashes are on point. Not to interrupt you, but I do want to give you that credit.
Well, I never put time into myself because I was always putting myself on the back burner. And
Yeah.
how many moms do that? Like
Yeah.
I was functioning, less than 50%. So what was Grace getting?
No.
And I really tell her all the time, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this for me so mommy can be 100%. Because guess what? When I'm 100%, you get all of me, the best of me. And this, what we have shared and what we have seen impact with other people that we have come in contact with is becoming the best version of us. That's what we're created to live a life that we love, wake up and be grateful. And that's why I start my day with that, with those things immediately on the way to school. We talk
Mhm.
about what are we grateful for? Because when you realize all that you have, you're going to be blessed with so much more. And that's truly
Absolutely.
why I've stayed so, what I call faith filled, because it will keep you above every wave, every hurdle, no matter what storm you're facing. Like I know, like even through this summer, I had a rough season,
Mhm.
but where am I at right now? I am thriving high in a lot of areas, and God has continually blessed me through the seasons because I have continued to trust. And so whether someone has their faith or they don't, you can still believe that good things are coming,
Yeah.
but the way you do that is you start with gratitude. Because if you're worried that I don't have this and I don't have that and this, you're never going to get any of that because you're not thankful for what you have right now, you know?
Yeah.
So taking care of yourself, I mean, and having a young daughter watch me grow from where I was to a healthier version and to continue because I'm not done.
Yeah.
I'm still pushing.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I wanted to show her, like that you love yourself, you love your body. I'm jealous of her beautiful skin
Oh, that is a pretty girl you have.
and
Yes.
that hair and all the things. I'm
I
just like,
know.
can you just still like rub her skin and rub it on me? She's like, here, mom. She's like, I wish it was that easy. I gotta pay to be that color, okay? So
Absolutely. Me too.
we have fun with it, but I've always teach her to, I pump confidence in her daily because their
Yeah.
generation is rough
Their
and
generation is rough. Yeah.
we have to prep them to,
Mhm.
love who they are and look in the mirror and be happy, and so,
But
but it's,
isn't it beautiful that like we have the knowledge that we can talk about that with them? Because
Mhm.
that wasn't so much which I mean, you're younger than me, but what our generation grew up with, we didn't so openly talk about about what we are talking about now, which is confidence and self-love and all of that. We were just sort of expected to have it and adapt to that. Back in the 80s and the 90s, back in the quote unquote good old days, which I wouldn't go that far, but
well, now they're saying 1900s,
19, yes. Those of
uh,
us who grew up in the 1900s.
yeah, I grew up with a lot of insecurities. I was molested by my biological father, and it back then, being 3 to 5 years old, having that happen to you, then never having a counseling or that therapy. I grew up with all that. So it wasn't even until my 20s, like, that I started to see how that was really affecting me. And then growing through my seasons of, trauma and abuse and all that, and then learning how that forgiveness and all, it's literally a pattern, and we all have life, we all have a story, but are you going to use that story to get out of your situation and become motivation and use it to inspire and be that like survival guide for other people? That's truly why I believe why I went through all I went through.
Right.
Was to be the voice and to be that person that someone can come to and be like, look, like, how did you even get started? Because it can be so simple, a daily change. We have a daily 3 steps that completely can impact your day, but it's like outside of that, it has to be the mindset. You have to have that support. And there's a lot. So people listening that don't know where to go, like there is things out there. You can make a change, but it's if you're willing to stand up every day and fight for that. Because for me, I was like, I'm not going to let my situation be what that's all that I am. No, like I'm going to use it as my motivation to continue to, improve myself and rise above all the mess that I've been through. Because first of all, there's always someone out there that wishes they had your bad day. There's someone out there that's going through way, way worse. And I mean, I heard another story the other day of another leader, and like her best friend had died. 4 months later, her mom had died. And then she had her baby 10 days old. She was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh my gosh.
Like, how does that for me is, I'm like, how? But then I realized, that resilience, that push, because being a business owner is not easy.
No,
it's not. And there's been times I've contemplated, like, maybe I should, go try to find that part-time job. And, and we had talked about that. And I'm just like, no, girl, get your butt back up.
Yeah.
There's always someone out there that's gonna, that needs your help. And so,
and they need your story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
you matter.
That is actually my next podcast that I'm going to record by myself. It's called You Matter. I just did a lesson on that. But I think that's one thing that I appreciate so much about our business, and why I do recommend it for everybody, whether it's a side hustle or a full-time gig. It doesn't matter to me, but for me, it has changed me as a person and how I see people, because I have been so much more aware that everybody does have a story.
Yeah.
And not only does everybody have a story, but everyone's story is worthy of being told. Exactly. And I did not realize how many people didn't think that. They thought that their story was meant to be hidden or meant to be, something to be ashamed of.
It wasn't enough.
And it wasn't enough. It wasn't either bad enough or it wasn't good enough. Either way, it wasn't worthy of sharing. And network marketing, I think Coop actually said once, it's like self-development with a paycheck.
I love that. I've heard that before.
It's
so true.
It's so true. And it's so funny because I would have never believed that until I was a part of it. And, you are forced in this business to connect with people if you want to be successful. Yeah. And the only way to connect with people is to tell your story and to listen to others. And it is just such a powerful thing. So I want to end with 2 things. Number one, would you, recommend this business model to any parent? If so, why? And then also tell everybody like where they can find you, where they can follow up with you on social media.
I definitely recommend it, because you have no idea. Like, we are all one decision away from a completely different life. And that is so true. I had zero knowledge that this was going to literally change the entire trajectory of my life. One phone call from a friend from 5th grade.
Wow.
And trusting her that this was something that could help me, just make me feel better. It wasn't even any of the physical that came through with it, but that one simple call. So that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this, because I could be that one person. You could be that one person. You start this and you sharing this with someone that you have no idea. I look perfectly happy on Facebook, y'all. Look, nobody knew I was being beaten behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Not even family.
Yeah.
So when it came down to it, you're that one person that can make that impact. And that's one thing I didn't realize doing this, is being one person, how many people you truly impact. And so whether you don't think you're good enough, or that your story isn't as hard and difficult, or you grew up 10 times better than you or I ever did, that isn't about that, because there's always going to be someone that can relate to your story, that's going to benefit from hearing what you've been through and where you're going to grow through all this. This industry is life-changing. I have met so many incredible people. I would have never be able to be in these circles, to be in these groups, to be on these trips, and to have that pool time. I mean, that you can't even put that on paper, how amazing that time is, meeting with people that inspire you, that want to support you, and they have no benefit from helping you, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have no benefit by helping you or
Right.
whatever.
We are not on the same team. We do not benefit from each other.
It is not about that, because
No.
we're focused on the same goal, impacting that next life.
Mhm.
And that's why we always say we're impact driven, because it's not about us. We, as leaders, you have to put yourself back and be like, focus on that next person. And when you have that servant heart and you're focused to help that next person, it will be life-changing. And it sure is. This industry can be everything you want it to be. You should see our dream board now, girl. Like, I
want to see your dream board. Yeah.
I was like, I just want to, be able to go to the grocery store and just pay, like, without looking. Like, that was like the littlest thing, right? Now we literally went driving, because we're buying a home. And I mean, I go and I don't even second guess. Like, if that's like, Grace and I went driving and we're just like, oh, this neighborhood we found is beautiful, like by the mountain and all the things. Don't even care, that the $1 million price tag on it.
Right.
It was the thought of like, no, that's something possible. We can have. That's possible. And I would have never thought that. If you met Rochelle 8-10 years ago, I would have never thought that. I've been like, can't even afford a pedicure. Like, that was my mindset, because it was that poverty mindset. So if you're in a situation where you want change, you can have that. And this industry is going to give you that and so much more to put you in a position to win. And for me, it was just changing that generational curse of that poverty mindset of not thinking that you can have what you set out to be. And so every time we achieve those goals and marking that off, and I literally wake up, this is something I learned too, not to go overboard, but we have like a dollar bill on the ceiling. It's $5 bill, and we put 500,000. So that was what we want as our yearly income, right? So every morning I wake up, that's the first thing I see. And so when you have your dream board right there, at your desk, wherever you're walking by, it's going to continue to remind yourself, like, this is what I'm going for, and how good is it going to feel to achieve things. So, I hope to be that positive light. That's why I use my social media platforms, is to be that positive light, to encourage. I share a lot about what I do on the daily, but at the same time, what I've overcame, because for a long time I was scared of my story and not wanting to share my domestic violence and overcoming all those things. So my social media is all Rochelle Marie. So it's Maree. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
And I'll put that in the show notes too.
Yeah.
So that people can find it.
I keep it all the same, but it's more about following those people that are going to support you too. I talked yesterday. I'm like, if you're feeling negative, like, stop following those negative people. Like, it messes with your day, especially how much we are on social media. Use your time to, if we're going to be on this planet, like, use it to help people. Like, the biggest reward is those texts that we get, that those mamas' lives being changed. They're planning a vacation that they haven't had in 10 years. Like, those are the biggest reward. And you're gonna feel so much better when that's what you're gaining, rather than focusing on, like, I don't think I'm good enough to do that. I don't have a social media. I had less than 200 people on my Facebook when I started this. You don't need a network. You needed a desire. And it was that little flame that when she shared this with me, she had no idea I was going to be her golden nugget.
Still going strong 8 years later.
And it's funny, because I told her, I said, I don't even think I'll do this for 30 days. here
So
I am.
funny. And here
Go
you
talk
are.
8 years, almost 8 years later, and I wouldn't picture my life any other way. Every year it
No.
gets better and better, and by the day, so be
Mhm.
consistent, but believe in yourself, because we are all worthy of that, and created to live that life that we deserve. So I'm thankful for you and all the things
Yes.
that came with this, and happy that hopefully that one person listening will be
That's
like,
right.
yes, let me do
Yes.
this.
That's right. All right. Well, guys, we are going to wrap this episode up. Rochelle, I am so thankful that you were doing this for me at your time, 8 a.m. For me, 11 a.m. So I appreciate you starting your day with me today. And guys, please check her out on social media. She is pretty easy to find. I will put her handles all in the show notes so that you can find her easily. And for those of you listening, if this inspired you and you're ready to start, get a hold of one of us. We are ready to help you for what you need. All right.
Absolutely.
So until next time, guys, have a very peaceful and profitable week.